1st, Wednesday, our regular business meeting. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. We are very excited today because in addition to having a great community partner with us today, we also have our new student representative, Dr. Darren Brown Hall. Would you do the honors of swearing in Tamisha Walker from Burgard High School as our 2021 student representative for the Buffalo Board of Education?
Thank you very much, Board President Kottman. Tamisha, if you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Tamisha Walker.
I, Tamisha Walker.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
I will support the Constitution.
That I will support the Constitution.
Of the State of New York.
Of the State of New York.
And that I will faithfully discharge.
And that I will faithfully discharge.
The duties of the office.
The duties of the office.
For student representative.
For student representative.
Of the Buffalo Board of Education.
Of the Buffalo Board of Education.
Of the City of Buffalo.
Of the City of Buffalo.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Thank you very much, Tamisha, for serving as a student representative this school year.
welcome, Tamisha. Welcome.
Welcome, young lady. Welcome.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you.
We will allow you a little time in a little while if you'd like to address the board or for board members to individually welcome you. However, time is of the essence. I'd like to turn this over to our fearless leader, Dr. Superintendent Cash. How you doing?
Good evening, colleagues. Great to see everyone. I am so pleased this afternoon to have some very, very special guests with us. Several Buffalo Bills, I believe, are with us. But most importantly, Kim Pegula, owner and president of the Buffalo Bills, is here with us. Just a fabulous partner for a long time. And I'm very pleased that I think she's joined with Jason Senaraha. Is Jason with us, Kim?
Yes, hey, good
Yep.
evening.
Okay,
How you doing, guys?
and if there are any players, I don't see the players, but I know
I
that
see Harrison.
Jerry's
got
been
Harrison
great,
Phillips.
and Harrison Phillips have been great. There's Harrison Phillips.
Yep.
That's beautiful. So, if you would allow me, we have sponsored a resolution to thank you so much for what I think is a unique national gift to a public school that was on behalf of the Buffalo Bills and Kim and the Buffalo Bills organization. So if I could read this, all of the school board members have sponsored it along with me. And it's not long. Whereas the Buffalo Bills have been a reliable and valued partner for the Buffalo Public Schools for many years, and whereas Mayor Byron W. Brown and Superintendent of Schools Dr. Kreiner Cash are mutual partners on numerous social justice initiatives that promote access and opportunity for educational success among Buffalo's children, and whereas the reform agenda of the Buffalo Public Schools, the Buffalo Board of Education, the City of Buffalo, and the Buffalo Bills Social Justice Fund are aligned in their initiatives that promote, aligned in their missions that eradicate pernicious injustices wherever and however they occur in our community. And whereas the Buffalo Bills have demonstrated their notable commitment to the children of our district through this unprecedented COVID-19 school closure by supporting efforts to assure greater access to internet connectivity for learning. And whereas the Buffalo Bills have granted the Buffalo Public Schools $500,000 from their social justice fund for the express purpose of providing broadband internet connectivity. And in so doing, enabling our students to be more fully able to participate in their educational program. Such an equity issue. Now, be it resolved that the superintendent of schools, Dr. Kreiner Cash, and the Buffalo Board of Education express their most profound commendation, appreciation, and gratitude to the Buffalo Bills. And be it further resolved that the Buffalo Public Schools will honor the Buffalo Bills Social Justice Fund by fully informing the district community, the broader public, and the civic leadership of Buffalo of this extraordinarily generous investment in the children by our beloved Buffalo Bills. At this time, I think we should vote. Do you vote to approve this resolution, board members? If so, say aye.
Aye.
Well, Dr. Cash, one moment. Hold on. We have to do a point of order so that we can do it properly, okay? I need a motion to move this item up.
So move.
I need it second. So
moved.
done.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, so therefore, with that said, okay, I need a motion to vote at this point.
So move.
Lou Petrucci, second by Larry Scott. Now, the board will take a vote. Can we do a roll call vote for this particular item? I think it's worthy of such. Okay, Nate Kuzman. Am I missing something? Okay.
No.
Nate Kuzman, can you poll the vote of the board, please?
Yes, I can. On the resolution on the table, how do you vote, Dr. Kathy Evans Brown?
Unmute, Kathy. Unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Aye.
Yes.
How do you
Yes.
vote?
She said yes, we're good. Next.
Okay.
Mr. Hurd?
Today I'm gonna say praise God. Yes.
Yes. And
Mr. Jay?
1,000% yes, and thank you so much.
Board Member Makosi?
you know,
Thank you.
you showing your face. Get your face
Board
on.
Member Scott?
Much appreciation, yes.
Board Member Rivera?
Yes, with
deepest thanks.
Board Member,
That's the owner,
Board Member Woods?
football player. And there was one more, he left.
Kathy, you need to
The
move.
parent and the children and students, thank you so much. Yes.
Board Member Petrucci?
Big absolute yes. Thank you very much.
And Board President Cottman?
With eternal grace and mercy and goodness, thank you for what you do for us. Go Bills, go Bills.
All right,
Okay,
colleagues.
go
we have-
Bills, go
we have
Bills.
Speakers. At this time, I would like Jason Sanaraha to speak, and then of course Kim will speak, and then Harrison will have some words for us. Jason, again, thank you on behalf of all of us here in the Buffalo Public Schools for your generous donation. Jason.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Thanks for that wonderful roll call. And again, it's a real great honor to be on here and for us to contribute. I think it's a real testament to our commitment from ownership and our players to be able to help the community. So I'll turn it over to Kim here to speak, and then we can have the players speak as well.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here. You know what? I'm going to call my dad right after I get off with you guys, because my father was school superintendent and attended many board meetings. And this is my first, so I know how proud he's going to be of me for being a part of a public school board meeting. He was a steward of public education like all of you. So this is an extra special day for myself personally to be here with all of you. And just want to say thank you. I, of course, want to say thank you to so many people, some not on this call, that really helped put this together and bring this to reality. Education, economic equality. And we all know that the Wi-Fi, the internet access is just a tool, right? That it really means so much more than just getting our kids online. It's going to enable them for so many skills and so much learning that's going to be so instrumental in their upbringing for many, many years. And just so happy and very proud of our players, proud of our staff to be a part of this along with you, knowing how much public education really means, especially to myself and my family, but to the community of Buffalo at large. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Harrison.
Are there any other speakers?
Yeah, Harrison, do you want to say a couple things?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Well, first of all, thank you guys for letting me pop on. This definitely brought a lot of joy to my week as we're preparing for the Jets this weekend. But extremely blessed to be able to represent our staff and players here. I think Jerry's able to listen in on the call right now too, so he's here with us. But we appreciate so much what you guys do. One of my honors in college and minor was in education, and it's a deep passion of mine to serve and try to close the achievement gap in any way that we can. And so you guys obviously are kind of the frontliners there, and like Mrs. Pegula mentioned, we just wanted to give the best tool that we could in providing some internet access to these kids. As soon as I read the headline that there was going to be thousands of kids without access, I knew that we needed to get involved in the Social Justice Committee and everybody on board. Almost 100% participation from our players, as well as coaches and staff agreed that this was something that we all wanted to get involved with, and we wanted to have a footprint here in the Western New York area, specifically downtown Buffalo. And so we appreciate your guys' support into us, and know that we are always here to answer any call that we can in any way that we can help. Again, we love you all and are so blessed to do this with you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'd like to say on behalf of the Buffalo Board of Education that we are so appreciative of the Pegula family. This week, you guys have been the star and the apple of our eye, because earlier in the week, you provided our students with PPE gear. And I didn't know whether to come in here with my Sabres mask on or should I come in here with my Buffalo Bill. But I want to say that the reason that we as Buffalonians know what it is to survive and to keep driving is because our teams, our sports teams, okay, have not always been at the top, okay, but they showed us, they illustrated to us how to continue to fight and move forward. And just like the teams are now flourishing and doing a better job, and I believe that this is going to provide us or your team with the favor of God, because people don't always win because they're the strongest or the best. We see that in the Bible with David and Goliath. They win because they have the favor of God. And when you do things to help other people, you will be blessed. And you have taught us over the years how to persevere and survive. And we are Buffalo strong, and we love our Bills and we love our Sabres, and nobody can say anything bad about them to us. And you better believe you guys are the apple of our eye today. Okay? Thank you so much. We understand that you have another event to attend, so we understand time is of the essence for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all again, guys. Appreciate what you do for us.
Thank you. And come back again.
Anytime.
Bye. See that shirt, Mr. Harrison.
Go Bills.
Oh,
Great.
Go Bills.
Go Bills, go Sabres. Thank you for blessing us.
If we can remind everyone to please mute if you're not speaking, or on your cell phone. If you're on your cell phone, please mute if you're not speaking. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next, Dr. Cash, the superintendent's update. Thank you.
Colleagues, we're still on board recognition. We have some recognitions here.
Okay.
And one really important one is that each year, the New York State School Boards Association sponsors School Board Recognition Week to recognize school board members for their commitment to New York public school children. Certainly recognizing school board member service should be a year-round endeavor, but designating 1 week to highlight these extraordinary volunteers ensures they receive some of the thanks they so richly deserve. School Board Recognition Week is an opportunity to raise community awareness and understanding about the crucial role school board members have within a school district. Thank you, board members, for all that you do in your governance role for the benefit of all of our children.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cash.
Well deserved, and you're welcome. Sharon has the gifts in the board office.
I do.
Now, number 3.
Where are they at? Wait a minute. We're not going down like that, Dr.
Can we
Cash.
talk about that?
We want Buffalo school gear. We need our own gear so that when we go out and we represent our district, just like you guys got your gear. We want Buffalo Public School gear, and we will take a vote on what we want, particularly because you're not getting off easy this year. You're not. Okay, letting you know.
We want you to wear the Buffalo Public School gear. So give us your sizes, tell us what you want, and we'll make sure you get it.
Thank you.
All right. Colleagues, as we begin to continue to plan for reopening, I really want us to keep in mind a very special group of operations folks. And I just want to take a moment to thank them. You guys know it, but I got to keep it front and center because they're doing work 24/7 behind the scenes and every day, even though we haven't opened in full in person. So first, I'd like to commend Jim Weimer, our Chief of Operations for the district. What a great team player. Anything I've ever asked Jim to do, he steps forward and gives it his all. Loves the Buffalo Public Schools and just as an extraordinary team player and has had a lot of experience. And he stepped in this year when I asked him to go over and take a deep dive look at plant and facilities, which is in need of radical reform. He has begun to do that with other staff that I have appointed to do that. So commend Jim. Now, Jim is fortunate, but it's true. He also has 4 extraordinary lieutenants that make up the operations department. Cheryl Kennedy, Director of Transportation, has just been terrific during this pandemic, delivering learning packets door to door for our families, utilizing the various buses that we have. And in true team spirit, she just is a great collaborator, meeting and talking with the principals every day to get ready for an eventual return to in-person school learning. And she's monitoring the driver supply from First Student because there's a challenge with that right now nationally, but she's also working on the big board, as we call it, with route planning, so that when we do reopen, we have thought through how we go and make our routes most efficient to pick up our students. Bridget O'Brien Wood, Director of Food Service, 4 million meals, colleagues, provided to students by Bridget and her staff throughout March, since March, without ever missing a beat. And she always has her sites open. People right there, they're first responders as far as I'm concerned. They're essential workers, and they have been throughout this COVID period. And she recently partnered with Cornell University's Cooperative Extension Program to launch a food truck now. We have a food truck that has been a welcome sight and a source of mobile nutrition for our families. They go community to community delivering nutritious meals to families that may not be able to make it to these community school sites. Fred Wagstaff, so responsible, always providing wellness checks and checking on families. He and his staff has got a new culture going with our safety and security team, and always is available 24 hours a day should any situation arise that we need him for. He's truly an irreplaceable, and he works tirelessly, he and his team, to create a safe and orderly environment at the food service and device pickup sites. Thank you, Fred. And then finally tonight, Barry Kirker, another warrior throughout the pandemic closure period, has overseen repairs and retrofitting at 60 buildings that we eventually plan to reopen. And he's another 24-hour-a-day employee, incredible knowledge of all of our facilities and their unique characteristics. Barry oversees a very large and complex department. He collaborates with all district departments to provide safe and clean facilities. Go check them out yourself. They're fabulous, and helping the district and staff to operate safe and CDC compliant work environments. So Barry and his team and our custodial engineers and custodial staff, they have been a great group. So thank you to these operations workers, because they go to work every day. They have to be on call every day as we work to move toward the next phase in our reopening. So thank you, board. I appreciate those opportunities for recognition. And that is the board recognitions for this evening.
Dr. Cash.
Yes.
Do you think in moving forward that we could at least highlight these individuals by putting their pictures on our website once they've been acknowledged by the board? You know what I mean? I think they deserve to be put on our website maybe until the next meeting for the work that they've done and for their acknowledgement. I just think that would be a nice gesture.
I think that's a great idea. Now, I had invited them to be here. I'm not sure if they're on or not, Darren. I know I wanted them to be on so we could see them.
They are on. We just can't see them. They would need to show their video.
Oh, okay. Is there a video?
We're being shy.
Their video feed.
Barry, I see your name, Barry.
Where's Bridget?
Oh, that's Cheryl. We can see Cheryl. Oh, there's Barry. Hi, Barry. We're missing Jim.
Okay.
And we're missing Fred.
And there's Bridget.
Bridget, where are you at, Bridget?
I don't know. I'm here.
Hi.
I'm here on the phone.
So thank you, guys. We really appreciate you.
Harold, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Would anyone like to say anything? We'll allow you to say something to us if you want.
I would just, this is Bridget. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? I just want to say I humbly accept this recognition on behalf of the 480 food service team members who really share the same common goal as, and that's the one goal is feeding our children. So it really is a whole team effort. It's not just me, but I accept this recognition on their behalf humbly. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Fred Wagstaff has joined us.
Hey, Fred.
Hi, Fred. Barry, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I would echo Bridget's words that we look good because our teams are good. So I appreciate having a chance to work with all these wonderful people, and thank you for the recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Kirker, for the work that you've done over the many years. How long have you been with us, Barry?
Well over 28 years.
I know it's been a while. Thank you so much. Mr. Wagstaff, is there anything you'd like to say to the board or to the public?
Just like Barry and Bridget said, basically this is a team effort by the security department as well as by the plant department, the transportation, and the food service. We all work so well together, and I'm very appreciative of that, because at any time I could call Bridget up if I need a dinner, or I'm sorry, food for a family to deliver to a house. she'll just say, Fred, what time do you want to pick it up? And we can make that delivery. If we have a problem with something at a school, I can call Barry up and it's fixed the next day, or if not that same day. Cheryl, Wonder Woman of the district. If we have an emergency somewhere in the district and I need to evacuate a building, I can have 20 yellow buses there within 20 minutes. And that's all done to ensure the safety of our students, staff, and families. So I'm very proud to work with them and to be working under Jim Weimer, I'm sorry. But thank you very much.
Well stated,
right,
Fred. Thank you.
Is Jim around? No.
Board President Chapman, this is Jim. I'm on the phone. And I can't tell you, this is one of the most incredible groups that I've ever worked with. They're what I refer to as the We Never Close crew. We're constantly, throughout the pandemic, working, making sure that things are safe, distributing meals, distributing learning packets, all sorts of different things that I experience from the other side as a principal. They're a terrific team. All of their team members are just unbelievable, and they have a true dedication to the Buffalo Public School system, parents, families, children, all. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your excellence. And I have had the pleasure to work with all of these, and I agree with you. They're just great people to work with, and they're always trying to make a difference for our children and our district. And this is the excellence. This is what we're talking about, the team that we have in place that keeps on making it happen no matter what. So thank you so much for honoring, being who you are. Are there any other board members that would like to say anything to our team players? Mr. Hurd, I think you might want to put a light on and moving forward. Oh, yeah.
I'd like to say thank you so much. The work that this administrative staff does, it separates us from any other school district in this country. And continue your work. I see you guys on weekdays and on Saturdays, late into the evening. So, and I know the type of work that you do, and I know that you have your heart invested into, our children and our community. So thank you so much, and keep up the work. Anything we can do as a board, please let us know. Working with the superintendent is great, and I'm glad that these programs are existing.
Thank you. Okay, no other board members? So we all love you and we appreciate you, so thank you so much. Dr. Cash, if you'd be kind enough to put their photos up as under some sort of a title, an honorable mention or something, I think that we can start that tradition so that everyone who goes to our website can see our great team players. Thank you so much. Dr. Cash, do you have anything else to share with us at this point?
I do. Let me just say, Elena, if you could follow up on that request by Board President Cotman, very much appreciate it. And then, President Cotman, if you would, I have quite a few items under the superintendent's update that are important. They're not long, but they're important. So I would recommend if you and your colleagues don't mind that you let the 5 speakers go at this time, and then we can move forward with the superintendent's update.
Okay, no problem. Okay, we need to ask people to mute their phones when they are not speaking, please. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Okay, so moving along. I'm just waiting whether I'm going to do this. I think I'll wait till after the speakers. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to change things a little bit today. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move along with our speakers. I'm going to go over the guidelines for the speakers. We'll go through the speakers list. Superintendent, you will respond. And then at that point, what we're going to do is go back to acknowledging our student representative. Board members did not properly greet her, and I would like to do that before we move forward. because time may get late and we may not be able to do this, but I want her to feel the magnitude of the welcome of the love that we have on this board and in welcoming her into our fold. Okay, thank you. All right. At this time, the board welcomes speakers who have signed up to speak at tonight's meeting. Please be reminded that all speakers' remarks must be limited to 3 minutes or less. We ask that speakers be mindful that this is a business meeting open to the public and televised locally. Attendees and viewers include persons from throughout Western New York, including children. This board asks that speakers conduct themselves professionally and that their comments remain civil and courteous, bearing in mind that they will be heard by people of all ages. This is an opportunity for Buffalo's residents to address the Buffalo Board of Education about issues that serve the public interest and district's mission. And the board asks that speakers demonstrate appropriate decorum. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so Lou, you did this before. All right, so our first speaker is Nicole Shepard. Okay, what do I do?
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Nicole?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. This is a parent, and welcome, and she wants to talk about our BPS Girls Sectional Section 6 sport team. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Nicole Shepard. Tonight I represent the BPS Girls Combined Varsity Swim and Dive team, of which my daughter is a member. First, let's discuss the difference between the combined schools competitive team and the school-based varsity team. The combined team is comprised of girls from multiple schools who swim in the fall in alignment with Section 6 and Title 9. They're highly competitive and compete in Section 6 competition. The team is open to all who are interested. The varsity teams swim at their home schools in the winter season. They compete inter-BPS only and have varying degrees of ability in the pool. Yesterday, one of our parents spoke with the temporary athletics director and confirmed that BPS intends to move the varsity swim program from the winter to the fall in alignment with Section 6. In doing so, the competitive combined team will be disbanded and the swimmers move back to their home schools. Here's a few thoughts on why we should reconsider that. Success. We are stronger as a combined team, both in individual events and relays, frequently breaking pool records. We consistently compete and often win against suburban teams. We send an average of 11 swimmers and divers to postseason championships. Some would have made it to states this year. Much like the boys combined football teams that were protected in Section 6 competition last year, these girls are so competitive and give bragging rights to BPS. Inequity in facilities. The district's flagship pool is a 25-yard state-of-the-art facility that is the envy of other districts and is currently the only BPS pool that meets Section 6 criteria. Again, something BPS can show off. While some girls would have the privilege of training in this pool, others will be sent back to their home schools with 20-yard antiquated pools with makeshift wood blocks that are honestly a liability to the district, and there's no opportunity for diving. An infusion of capital investment is necessary to make other district pools equitable and usable for competitive training. Participation. The reality is that only a handful of girls would comprise a team at each school, if any at all. If we make this move, competition would remain largely inter-BPS. We're told coaches might elect to sign up for occasional sectional competition, but it's not realistic for 1 or 2 swimmers. We'll likely lose both the competitive swimmers who will go back to their club teams and the winter swimmers who will likely choose other fall sports like soccer over swimming. We all want more participation and diversity in the sport, but the truth is the district is nowhere near being able to make this change immediately. In this unprecedented year, where our athletes have already lost so much, why now? There's no reason why we cannot grow the competitive team in the fall while keeping the winter team as well. Everyone wins. I hope the board will challenge the athletic department to devise a realistic multi-year plan that demonstrates growth in the sport before making the hasty and costly decision that will affect numerous athletes in a negative way. Thank you.
Thank you, Parent Shepard. Next, we have Michaela Hall, student, BPS swim team. Michaela, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Did I say your name right?
Yes, Michaela.
Okay, thank you. Please speak, young lady. And what school do you represent? Hi.
I go to Olmsted. Frederick
Okay.
Olmsted. Okay. Hello. Thank you for allowing me the time to speak today. My name is Michaela Amani Hall. I attend Frederick Law Olmsted, and I'm currently in my junior year. I started swimming my 5th grade year on the modified swim team, and I continued modified swim at Olmsted up until 2016. When the BPS girls varsity swim and dive team was announced to begin, tryouts was rough for me. Out of the 4 test sets, I only passed 3. The 4th one was the 500 free, which is 20 laps in a 25-yard pool that I trained all summer for. Fortunately, I passed. At the start of the first season, I was excited to be on the team and around girls from other schools that had goals and coaches that motivated me to push myself. The entire 2016 year, I swam expedition, meaning my points don't count. My experience the first season of the BPS girls varsity swim and dive team inspired me to advance my swim career by joining a club team to come back stronger for the 2017 season, in which not only I accomplished the new goal, but the team did. In the 2017 season, my team and I broke the record in the 200 free and 400 free relay, the Buffalo Public School District. Moving into the 2018 season, it proved to be one of our strongest years, as we were able to accomplish the following as a team. We topped our 400 free and 200 free relay, along with breaking a 200 medley relay, featured in the Buffalo News and the Challenger for our accomplishments. And I was fortunate and blessed to achieve a personal long-time goal of mine, breaking the 100 breaststroke record from 1992, which stood 26 years. In addition, I also received MVP from my coaches. In 2019, we built a name for ourselves throughout our Section 6 swim. We rebroke the 200 medley relay twice in one season, and I personally rebroke my 100 breaststroke record. Unfortunately, with the unprecedented times, our season was canceled my junior year. I've been constantly training on my club team for the 2021 season. The pandemic has changed everything, and learning that the athletic department is considering to disband our BPS girls varsity team and has just been a blow to an already difficult year. How much more can we endure? We know that inequities exist everywhere. However, the BPS varsity swim and dive program provided me with the belief that inequities would not impact us because we were all swimming from different schools at one 25-yard pool and at a highly competitive level. However, if I were to swim at my home school, these inequities would be greater, highlighted because of the facility. Many of our district schools either don't have a pool or are so outdated that they cannot support the growth of a competitive swim and dive program, wanting to train for championships. Additionally, my coaches have given me and my team inspiration to remain strong young women with goals and aspirations that will support us for a lifetime. As I look at Buffalo Public Schools, what stands out to me is the motto, putting children and families first. What happened to that? As a student in the BPS school district, I asked the question, does that still matter? We have a great opportunity as a district to help young women to not be marginalized, discriminated against, and viewed as less than by not disbanding the BPS girls varsity swim and dive team. Respectfully, I ask you, please reconsider your decision, allowing this to be our narrative. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, young lady. That was Michaela Hall. Very well represented. Our next speaker is Christania Clouser. If I mispronounce your name, please excuse me. Hi, Christania. My apologies for mispronouncing your name. Please say what your name is.
It's Christiana Clouser.
Christiana, okay. Clouser. Okay, welcome, young lady.
Thank you.
The time is yours. Please speak.
Hi, my name is Christiana Clouser, and I am a junior at Frederick Law Olmsted. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you for your time to meet with us. I remember 4 years ago when I first joined the BPS swimming and diving team. I was a nervous 7th grader who dreaded the thought of a high school girls swim team with cliques and faster swimmers. The cliques were dramatized because no swimmer ostracized another. But I was right about the faster swimmers. Girls were coming from better out-of-school clubs than my own and were breezing through the sets that I found difficult. The feeling of inspiration came from wanting to be like these girls, acing practice and winning races. This led to a change of heart. Starting as expedition, where my times didn't count, I was motivated to work hard, not only in school swim, but in my out-of-school clubs too. Swimming double practices, asking coaches how to better my stroke, and trying races I never usually swim. Eventually, I got faster, but as I sped up, so did my teammates. It was this intellectual competition during practice that grew our bonds with each other. And what once was a team of scary girls became a family of sisters that pushed each other to their limits and then some. This was an experience that my home school couldn't possibly offer. The combination of wanting to do better mixed with the support of my fellow swimmers is what led me to be the swimmer I am today. It's also something I don't find at my home school. At school, swim is seen as an easy sport that anyone can do. But BPS Swim made me see just how important my sport is, and it gave me a place to be myself while doing what I love. The uncertainty of tomorrow has always been something mankind has wrestled with, but the coronavirus has been testing us on how prepared we are to defend. So far, our means of defense has been canceling in-person school and fall sports. Even though I'm upset over missing my junior year on the BPS team, I can understand why that decision was made. But what I can't comprehend is why the disbanding of a team was thrown in the mix, especially one that has been impressively successful in the short 4 years that it's been around for. It's only by the God-given power onto us and our motivation that we've come to the point at which we're at, qualifying for Class Bs and sectionals and breaking records, making a name for ourselves. And it hurts to see that all of our hard work and the friendships we've made could be thrown away. So I ask that you please take our words into consideration and reconsider disbanding our family. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, it's obvious that our students are very articulate, very proud of how they've represented themselves today and their concerns. We're going to move forward. Young people, Dr. Cash will address you after we complete the next 3 speakers. Okay, thank you. Please stand by. Next, we have Dr. Wendy Mistrada, parent, regarding meaningful parent engagement. Dr. Mistrada, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, well, thank you very much again for being able to join me this evening. As I was preparing my remarks for tonight, I reviewed my remarks from last month. And sadly, one of my kids is no longer doing well with remote learning. We all know that I'm not alone. Even with my academic background and my physical presence, it's difficult to keep her on task and focused. The concern that literally keeps me up at night is wondering how many other students are already lost and how many we are at risk of losing. I also wonder how many students are doing well. Does anyone really know? Then, and most importantly, what are we doing about it? I hope we are all in agreement that when things are not working well, we have to do something differently and urgently. When you know better, you do better. In one of our collaborative attempts to do better, we first met as a district reopening committee on June 2nd, and we were tasked with developing 3 plans. Here we are tonight, nearly 5 months later, and we have the remote plan, still in progress in terms of attempting to meet the needs of all students, but we are still waiting for the others. I participated in the reopening discussion at my SBMT last week. Now that we have seen the template that was not available last week, it seems that the schools are being tasked with developing draft plans to meet the in-person needs of a very small percentage of students within 10 days, something that the district didn't accomplish in 5 months. And we're told that this will inform the superintendent's decisions, but the process for the developing of the plans is still very unclear. In August, we were promised that each parent, guardian, or caregiver would have the opportunity to identify his or her preferred mode of learning and instruction for each student. Where do we stand with this? Isn't this information still critical to our decision making? I also wish to follow up on the DPCC's letter of October 6th. We have had discussions with the district reopening committee about meaningful engagement, and I also had the opportunity to speak with a board member. In the simplest terms, we support the definition that parent engagement is doing with rather than to. I'm sorry, I lost my place. Engagement is, parent engagement is meaningful if it's only it's only meaningful if it's a part of shared decision making. Engagement is meaningful. Of course, we will continue to participate in important discussions about what is meaningful parent engagement and what is shared decision making. I welcome additional conversations with the Board of Education because these 3 minutes of statements for a statement each month is not meaningful engagement. In the meantime, we also have concerns regarding both process and compliance in accordance with federal, state, and local regulations, plans, and policies, as well as the challenge of perceived value placed on meaningful parent engagement. If I heard the district correctly, the district believes it should develop the basis of a plan and then share it to gather input from other stakeholder groups. However, a plan is not started in a vacuum. We need our parent and student voices from the initial stages because without it, our expertise is missing and we are placed at a disadvantage. We're placed as being reactionary instead of participatory.
Okay, time.
Please, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wendy Mistrada. Next, we have Jessica Bauer-Walker, parent, what parents and students need. Jessica Bauer-Walker, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Good evening. I want to acknowledge how difficult these times are for everybody, including school and district leaders. I see many people working very hard to support our schools and our families, and I very much appreciate this. I'm here this evening to ask you to consider how we might work smarter and more creatively instead of harder, and how the district and schools can come into deeper relationship with families in these challenging times. I hope you will listen to my comments with an open mind and open heart. My intention is to be a champion for the district's mission to put children and families first. I'd like to share some comments from parents and students in that spirit. This is from the parent of a first grader. My 6-year-old is falling apart and having daily meltdowns. He says he hates school. I don't blame him. This is tough. A second grader, when asked how was school today, torture, like every day. Parent of a special education student. Some of my son's teachers are not communicating with me weekly, even though this is on his IEP. A high school student. I feel like we were thrown into a pool and told to swim, but we don't know how to swim. A parent who does not speak English via an interpreter. My children keep asking me for help, but I don't know how to help them. I have to ask my oldest daughter to help the younger children, and it takes her away from her own schoolwork. Parent of a high schooler. I have reached out to my son's teacher, school counselor, psychologist, and administrator. He needs real-life human interaction. That is all. Nothing else can be done. Some of the key themes that we've had in terms of talking to parents are that teachers, parents, and students are mentally exhausted from learning online all day. There are consistent and pervasive errors related to attendance and assignments being submitted and students being overloaded with work on certain days and weeks. Teachers, parents, and students do not feel like they have a sense of efficacy, and many are expressing increasing hopelessness and disconnection. Many of our families are in social and economic crisis. From gun violence to child and sexual abuse to housing insecurity and a racist and toxic political environment, we find ourselves in survival mode many days. Deep listening to families is vital if we in the district aims to have a community and culture responsive approach to school and education. Our students are telling us repeatedly, I want to go back to school. I miss my friends. I'm exhausted by online school. While we cannot give them all that they want, we can work together to give them more of what they need. How can we teach more of what our students love? How can we respond to this moment so that our students feel more physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially whole and empowered? Humans need to laugh and play, to connect in meaningful ways. From selecting power standards to prioritize for the curriculum, to outdoor education, supporting learning pods, there's so many things that we could do to be community and culture responsive in this moment. I hope we can work together to come up with creative solutions and truly be all in this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica Bauer-Walker. Our last speaker for this evening is the president of the Buffalo Teachers Federation, Mr. Phil Rumore. Welcome, Mr. Rumore. Mr. Rumore. Okay. Going once, Mr. Rumore. Going twice. Going 3 times. Mr. Rumore is not on the phone tonight. Okay. Dr. Kreiner Cash.
Yes.
Your comments in regards or your response to our speakers, please.
All right. You can take the clock down, Mike. Thank you. Colleagues, I'll be brief. I like the issue that was brought to our attention by Nicole Shepard, the parent, and then the 2 students. who I thought were fabulous in articulating from their view an issue that I'm just beginning to understand. What I'd recommend, since they brought up equity issues and since they brought up participation issues, I don't fully understand it. I have a completely different understanding of the history of this and how we got to where we are. We're actually trying to straighten it out so that it is more equitable. But I think what we need to do is talk about it at either the Student Support Services Committee or the ad hoc committee on athletics. This is a topic that you should talk about and see what you recommend and what people are saying, because I have a lot of information to share about it. And so I'd just rather go right to that. I think that would be my recommendation so we can all understand and then come back with what could be a win-win. I think I heard that this winter program, which is not the one where you compete for championships and honors, is sort of like a feeder pattern, a program or a pattern program where you get better at it, even if you start off not as skillful in swimming, but because of the focus over here with coaches, you then can work your way to. But there's only 2 programs over there that are competing in Section 6 that are at City Honors. So it's just, I have a converse understanding about it. And I commend you for your comments tonight, but I believe we should talk about it. Invite the students to the committee, that'd be fine. And then let's all try to get at a better understanding of what this issue is and make the right decision about it. We haven't made any decisions at this point. So that's that.
Thank you.
On the issue of Wendy and Jessica, as I've said all along, make a recommendation. I'm not hearing any recommendations. I'm hearing, a litany of complaints and problems. And we all know what the challenges are. I'm looking for solutions. So bring the solutions to the meetings. We have frequent meetings. Wendy, you're on every committee we have. Bring them to the committee chair. Make a recommendation. Let us hear your input. We've always been open to that. Darren runs reopening committees on a regular basis. If you have an idea that's going to help improve the work under these challenging times, then we want to hear it. We want to hear it. So that's all I have to say about that. Get involved, get engaged, make a recommendation, be part of the solution. Thank you, Board President.
Thank you, Dr. Cash. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm sure our students are pleased to hear that there's an opportunity to continue our competitive combined team as well as our varsity home school team. So we're going to definitely move that to the next committee meeting, and we will definitely ask them to be on call to share their concerns. Okay?
Excuse me, President Coppin. President Coppin, I'd like to say that the next committee meeting is on November 4th, and all committee meeting.
Okay, so we're going to allow special time for this issue in our educational support. So is that okay?
Do we need to agree for extra time for this?
Well, we always take extra time. Could you bring me some water?
Yes, Phil Elmore's going to be calling in.
Phil, okay. Staff is, I'm sorry, go ahead, Terrence.
The reason why I say that, President Coppin, excuse me, is because I spoke with Ms. Shepard several times about this matter, and I believe there's a group of people that would like to speak also on behalf of the swim program, more than just that spoke this evening. So I would like to have an extended time so we can properly address this issue and see if we can come to a resolution.
May I make a recommendation? Mrs. Cottman, how about at your next ad hoc athletics committee, you have those individuals speak to you all, the athletics ad hoc committee, and then at the educational support committee, you can update the board with a discussion with the superintendent. Instead of because at that November 4th meeting, that is going to be a long meeting, and I don't know about extending the time. I think it may be better if they speak to the ad hoc committee, then the ad hoc committee report to the board and the superintendent.
That might be a good idea, but The ad hoc committee is limited to 4 board members, okay? And I would think that there would be other board members that would like to hear that or not. Board members, let me hear what you're saying. What do you think? Is that okay? How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
As long as you bring back,
To the board.
you know,
Okay.
a summary or concise input on that discussion.
Okay.
Rest of the board.
Is everyone in agreement with that?
I'm in
Yes.
agreement if we can have administrative personnel aboard also for the meeting so that we can have the proper discussion. From
Well,
athletic-
Mr. Hurd, keep in mind, there are probably 5 or 6 people that will be speaking that are different from what the students said. So if you want to have the 12 people come to the ad hoc committee and speak, so you have a balanced picture of the complexity of this issue, then I certainly will have staff there so that they can bring back that information as well. So you need to have a balanced picture of this issue. It's not a simple issue.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, so, Mr. Hurd, when is your next ad hoc committee?
We scheduled a meeting this Tuesday, the 27th at 4:30 p.m.
At 4:30. So we may need to change that time to accommodate the parents who are working or the people. So we need to take a look at that so that we are making, if it means that we have to move back a half an hour or, an hour or whatever to accommodate our people, we need that. What we'll do, we'll have staff provide the names of the people, and we'll reach out and see. Because I don't want to have this if the parents can't get off from work and they can't talk or whatever. I want to make sure we accommodate them accordingly.
Okay. My question is Ms. Shepard still on the line? Because she's been an advocate parent for this, and she's the one who's been outspoken and generating, getting student support with this. So if she's
Yes,
still on the line, you can reach her.
Yes, I still am on the line, and I do believe I am available at that time. But I would also, there are a number of parents that probably, at least one other I can think of, that would like to participate.
Would that time work, a 4:30 appointment time?
Let's go ahead and say it will, and perhaps we can be in touch with Mr. Hurd.
Okay, so therefore, we're talking about next Tuesday, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
27th.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Is the
Okay,
ad hoc committee going to be a Zoom meeting so it's people who are interested? Like, I'd like to hear what the children have to say.
I don't have a problem with open it up, but it would, I have to talk with Nate about that. Nate?
Can it be
If we
Zoom?
open this up as a community Zoom meeting about this subject, are we okay?
Put a notification.
We have to put a notification out. We could do it, but
how many board members are going to attend?
well, we know that we've got,
There'll be
four, already 5, so possibly 5 or 6.
Yeah, you would. You'd have a public meeting at that point.
I know.
Can I make a
would.
suggestion?
Yes.
Make a suggestion as one of the members of the committee, because it's such an intense issue, and I'm kind of taken aback by it by myself. Would it be all right if we kind of drill down to what we need to prioritize and the whole nine as the ad hoc committee with these folks, kind of have this smaller conversation, and then we can have the Zoom meeting where we have everybody involved, and just trust us to bring back that this is we'll be more in depth and we'll have more of an idea of what's going on, because I feel like a Zoom meeting with everybody involved and how there's so many complexities and different avenues, it might turn into a lot of just trying to figure it out. So give the ad hoc committee, if we're going to put it in this committee, give us a chance to kind of, put everything into perspective, and then we can present to the board and to the community at large and have that larger Zoom meeting. I do believe that'll probably be a follow-up, But I'm just saying this so that we don't have multiple meetings of trying to figure things out. The smaller conversation, you know, we can dig through as a committee. That's just my suggestion.
Well, it's the will of the board. It's the ad hoc committee's request. I am on the ad hoc committee, but I sit there as president, not, so I would like to know what the three members feel. I'm not going to override anything.
No, Paulette would be the fifth person. So Paula wants to participate, that's fine. We can just put if people want to, we've opened it up to more individuals in terms of other members of the swim team that want to participate, but it will be a larger meeting. I mean, there will be much more comment. It will be a longer meeting as well. And then we can report back to the general board.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, we'll handle it. Thank you, Board Member Marcucci. I hope you're feeling better today.
I am, President Cotman.
Okay. All right. So since staff has brought to my attention that Mr. Phil Rumore has called in, and I guess we sort of missed the window. So I need consensus of the board to go ahead and allow Mr. Rumore to do his comments at this time.
Aye.
So moved.
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, none. Okay, we're gonna backtrack for a minute. Mr. Rumore?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Welcome to our meeting. This is the president of the Buffalo Teachers Federation in regards to school opening. Thank you, Mr. Rumore. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, and members of the Board of Education and Mr. Superintendent. I didn't have all the correct information to call in. I did try, and I was here and I was listening. I was yelling at the screen, but at any rate, and it yelled back. At any rate, I think one of the things that I think we all realize is this is probably some of the most difficult times we've ever had to go through, and it's especially hard on our kids and the parents and everybody that's involved in it. And I know everybody's working very hard. But I do have some great concerns about the amount of input that people are actually being able to provide. We have members that sit on what's called the District Reopening Committee. And there have been meetings, lack of meetings. And if you remember, when your original plan was going to be submitted, the members of the committee asked for it, and they were told no. I just received something, and some of our teachers that are sitting on it feel that they're just being ignored. I'd like to tell you something too. The last meeting that they had, let me read something to you that was in there. And there's a whole bunch of discussion about the stakeholders, how important they are, and how much important it is to listen, et cetera. But let me read the last sentence of this document that was given to our members, which really made them very angry. Meaningful engagement is not the same as shared decision-making. This is from the superintendent. It's on your letterhead. Meaningful engagement is not the same as shared decision-making? I don't think that when we send this to the Board of Regents and the Commissioner of Education, that they're going to agree with you. I mean, if it isn't shared decision-making, what is it? Another example. We sit on a committee, and it was discussed there was a phase-in reopening plan that was given to principals and for them to complete. Parents and teachers asked for a copy of the document. They were told no. No, you can't have it. What is the, also, I have sent a number of letters to the board and to the superintendent, October 9th and October 2nd, with suggestions as to how we should go forward with this. Have not received a single response, not one. If we're ever going to succeed, a reopening committee is just not there just to be figureheads and people just listen and say, oh yeah, okay, and shake their heads. You have to feel that you are going to be part of the decision-making process. And to say that meaningful engagement is not the same as shared decision-making is a slap in the face of the parents, teachers, administrators that are part of that committee. That is not what it's all about, folks. The only way we're going to succeed is if everybody not just has a voice, but has a part in the decision-making. Parents need to feel that they are not just being listened to, not just being heard, but what they're saying needs to be acted upon and something in writing. Teachers, administrators, etc. Folks, this is wrong. What our teachers are telling me that are sitting on this committee is that, you know something, we sit here and they listen, but we know something, it's just like we're blowing in the wind. And then to have a document come out that says to them, meaningful engagement is not the same thing as shared decision making. Well, then what is meaningful engagement? And what the heck are we doing sitting there? I'm sorry that I'm angry, but I'm not the only one that's angry. Many of the people that sit on that committee feel the same way that I do, that they're not being listened to. You know, site-based decision making is the way that works, and the way that we've all agreed is that it's something that everybody can maybe not in complete agreement with, but it's something that we can live with. It's called consensus. That's how we have to work. It has to be something that everybody says, well, this isn't everything that I want, but this is a question of that we've come to consensus that this is something that we all can live with, and it has to be an ongoing process. It's not shared decision making. Not you can't have a document. I'll keep it back from you. Not that you can't see the plan before it goes out. You know something, the only way we've ever succeeded in this district is by everybody working together and being part of the decision. Thank you so much. And we look forward to continuing to work with you, but we just want to be heard, listened to, and part of the decision-making process. Thank you so much, and I apologize again for not being able to get on in time.
Thank you, President Phil Rumore of the Buffalo Teachers Federation. Thank you.
Would you like us to respond?
Yes, Dr. Cash.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil, for speaking tonight. Welcome the call to talk about it, and should continue to talk about it. And Phil, as you know, from the beginning of anything we ever do, we reach out to try to engage and negotiate and involve you as a critical partner in this work all the time. And that isn't always received that way. So to say that you're not involved or your constituents aren't involved, that simply isn't true. We are always at the table with all of our constituents. You have constituents at the reopening committee. The one or two examples you're talking about, I don't know really what you're referring to about not giving a document or anything like that. But I have my trusted chief of staff running those meetings on a regular basis. We run them frequently. We've had more reopening meetings than anywhere in the country. And we will continue to invite your full participation. It's one of the reasons we wanted to start with 2 days a week, then 3 days a week. And at the site-based level, teachers should be working right now with their principals to get ready for the reopening of their particular schools. They're operational geniuses. Get involved, come up with the plan, and make it work. Make it safe, make it work, make it educationally sound. We have been fully open in this process all the time, all along, and you know that, Phil. Now, Darren, I'd like to leave you with the final word on this, since you are closest to the work on this. If you want to respond to Phil directly, that's fine. If not, just make a general comment to the board so that we understand what we're actually trying to do here.
Oh, I appreciate that opportunity, Dr. Cash. And just for a point of clarification, there was an error when Mr. Rumor was speaking, quite a few of them, but the document is not on your letterhead, it is on my letterhead. It is part of the agenda that was sent out for the school and the district reopening committee. What Mr. Rumor was reading from the last sentence about meaningful engagement is not the same as shared decision-making, because that essence of meaningful engagement has come up several times. If you allow me, I will read the definition that we are attempting to formulate and work from regarding meaningful engagement. Stakeholders, parents, caregivers, teachers, administrators, and support staff working together to support and improve the learning, development, and health of our students. Listening, offering suggestions, developing plans that aid in the goal of the work group or committee. Acknowledging and understanding the feedback loop and ensuring representatives speak on behalf of their constituents, allowing everyone to have a voice. Meaningful engagement, however, is not the same as shared decision-making. So there was a larger definition that went along with Mr. Rumor's last sentence, because shared decision-making and meaningful engagement are not the same thing. It's great that we also have Dr. Ann Rivera and Dr. Kathy Evans Brown on the meetings also to see that the meetings are all encompassing, and we do encourage input from all of our stakeholders. We seek their input, we answer their questions. The people on the reopening committee, we did not have the template available that schools have. I encouraged everyone on the reopening committee to please contact their principals and become active in the reopening plans that their schools are developing, and their schools have copies of the template. So it was not a no, I was directing them on where to get the information from. And again, the teachers that serve on the reopening committee, they ask questions and they offer suggestions, Dr. Cash and board members, that we do take into consideration. Ultimately, the superintendent and the board are the decision makers when it comes to reopening. So it's really important that we make that clear. And the last thing, Mr. Rumor spoke about seeming angry, and I understand that, because I would be angry also if I was operating on fragile knowledge. He has the opportunity to call me anytime he would like, and I can clarify any issues that he has, because he, as well as all of our stakeholders, really need to operate with the true information that is being disseminated in the reopening committees and how we're operating to phase back into our school buildings. Thank you, Dr. Cash.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. As always, we appreciate your hard work and your inclusive work. President Common, that's all for me in terms of responding to the speakers.
Thank you, Dr. Cash. Board members, with your permission, I would like to change this agenda to now go back to our new member of our board, Tamisha Walker. As no one has a problem with that, we're going to allow the board, or Tamisha. Okay, welcome, Walker.
It's Tamisha.
Tamisha. Say it again. Tamisha. Am I getting it good? I'm getting better?
That's
okay,
it right there.
Work with me. Okay, thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? I've seen you over the years at Burgard. I know that you are a student with a voice, and I know that you are progressive. I've seen you've been taking a lot of notes. And so if you'd like to share a little bit about who you are and what your goals are, or if not, we'll just work the board and let them talk with you. But I just think that this is your opportunity to let Western New York, the Buffalo community, know who you are, young lady. And by the way, your principal referred to you as Tammy. Is that your nickname?
Yes, that is the nickname.
Okay, thank you. All right. Would you like to say something to the board, address us at this point?
Well, hello everyone. My name is Tamisha Walker, and I'm currently a senior at Burgard High School. I'm an honor roll student, the ideal student. I'm in a lot of groups. I'm in Upward Bound, the student leadership program. I'm in many different leadership programs. You might see me all over Buffalo. I'm in the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm very involved in the community. I help organize protests for Black Lives. What else? I volunteer on a regular basis. I plan to be a social justice activist or a doctor, a neurogeologist. Yeah, basically that's about me.
That's it. Wow. Very good. Well, I'll start the conversation because as a student leader, you are here to represent the student voice. And I'm sure you will have a lot to say moving forward. Typically what happens is that during the committee report out, which is item number 7, were you provided an agenda for this meeting?
No, I was not.
Okay, so we will make sure that moving forward, I think I text you or I have you in here, just send me your email address and we'll make sure that you receive that. And typically what happens is during that time you are allowed to report out. And I will talk with you off camera and we will talk about some of the things that are in your heart over the past 4 years or so that you might think that you might want to work with. I'd like to introduce you at this point to all of our board members. I'll start with Jen Makuzi, who is at the top. She represents, well, she can tell you who she is, and we'll move forward. Okay, Jen, you're up.
Hi, thank you, President Cotman. Hi, Tamisha, how you doing? So your social justice background and your organizing efforts speak to me. It's where I come from. That's my world. So you know what this means. You and I are going to talk, and we're going to really get some stuff done, right? So I'm going to need your contact information. And for the public that's out there, this is how we got to roll. We got to make sure that we get people with voices to, especially the student voice. As a student representative, I'd love to see, a student representative really engage the inner high council and those folks and bring them to the table in a bigger way. And I can't wait to work with you. So whether you knew it or not, you stuck with me because you spoke my language.
Okay, thank you. Board member Jennifer Makuzi, she has been on the board since 2015?
16.
2016, and she represents what district?
West District.
She represents the West District. Okay, thank you. Next, we have Dr. Ann Revere, who is up next. Dr. Revere.
I just wanted to thank you for joining us and bringing your expertise and your skill in organizing, your voice to the board. I look forward to working with you. I'm an at-large board member. I should have started with that. But I value the way in which you're thinking about these things, and I appreciate it. And I hope that you will feel free to reach out to us with any ideas that you have, especially from your perspective as a student in the schools currently. Thank you.
Thank you. We have next Hope J, who represents the Delaware District. Hope J, you're up.
Hi, Tamisha. I'm the North District representative on the board. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. It's all good. And I just wanted to welcome you. And I had no idea that we had chosen a new student representative, so I'm very excited to have somebody on board. I feel like that's been a position that's been lacking for quite some time. So I'm really, really glad that we're going to have the student voice again, and I want to welcome you aboard.
Okay, next we have Paulette Woods.
Welcome, Tamika. The future is yours, and I'm glad to hear you have a voice to help shape it. All of the social justice programs that have changed the world, starting with apartheid in South Africa, started with the children. Parents fight for their children. So we have the wisdom, you have the energy, and I just say thank you for coming on board because we have a lot of work to do. I look forward to working with you for this change. God bless you.
Thank you, Paulette Woods. And what district do you represent, Paulette?
I'm the Central District most of the Criterion schools, City Honors, Emerson, Hutch Tech. And then I have a lot of the schools like Harriet Tubman and a bunch of other challenge schools. So I'll need your input. As I said, I'm looking forward to working with you. Change, equity, and diversity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have at-large board member, Mr. Larry Scott, who's in the boardroom today.
Welcome, Tamisha. I just was thinking about, you said you're from Burgard, and in the spring, last spring, I started visiting high schools. And Burgard was the last school I visited before we went into closure. And I had a wonderful visit there, and so I'm happy to hear that you're a student at Burgard, and just want to welcome you aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Next, we have Vice President Dr. Kathy Evans Brown.
Thank you, President Cotman. Hello, Tamisha. Welcome. I'm excited to see that we have a student representative as well. My oldest stepson graduated from Burgard, and he is now a mechanic for the yellow buses with the district. And he's been around for about 10 years doing that work, and he loves it and he gets paid very well. I am representing the East District, and I just completed my first year as a board member. So I'm still fairly new, but now I'm considered a veteran going into my second year. And so my advice to you is to listen. If you see something that you, or see or hear something that you want to talk about, just buzz your, I think we have this button that you can raise your hand and be heard. Okay, so welcome, and I look forward to great things from you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Board Member Terrence Hurd.
Hello, Tamisha. Listen, I'm going to prophesize. I'm going to call you Dr. Tamisha Walker tonight. Okay? So we look for your future, okay? And I'm so proud of you. I just heard your body of work that you've done, and your work speaks for itself. So Dr. Tamisha Walker, social justice leader and leader of our community and our future community. Thank you so much for being the person that you are. Hug your parents for me. Tell them thank you for raising a great child and standing by you, helping you with your work and making sure that you are being the best person that you can be. And thank you for not giving in to peer pressures that's out there, and be that beacon to teach others also. You are it, and we look forward to be working with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd. We have Vice President Lou Petrucci up next.
Hi, Tamisha. I'm Lou Petrucci. I represent the Park District, which is large parts of South Buffalo and the adjoining neighborhoods. I'm a product of the Buffalo Public Schools. As a matter of fact, your principal, Ms. Watson, and I are members of the same class, graduated the same year at City Honors. So, but I encourage you, because we really, we love having a student voice. I'm glad that you are representing all your peers and being the representative of your classmates and your cohorts here at the Buffalo Public Schools, here at the school board. So I encourage you to speak loud and speak often, and let us know what students are thinking, just so it helps us to formulate policy. So when your time comes, when we call upon you, please speak up. We don't bite. We're very encouraging. We're very supportive. So welcome aboard, and I'm glad to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I am Sharon Belton Cotman, and I talked with you earlier. I had her principal call her up and make the acquaintances, and she's aware that I am the board member for the school district that she's in, which is the Ferry School District, and I am looking forward to working with this young lady, and I'm looking forward to hearing the voices of our young people, particularly in this particular time in history. I would like to share with you, I don't know if you're aware, that we do have a culturally relevant website. If you go on our buffalopublicschools.org, and if you look up under departments, under C, you'll see some of the work that that's being done. Dr. Brown Hall, I would like to put together an orientation package for her, which would include the information about each board members. You can add on ideas to this, but it would just basically include the information associated with all the board members, how to reach us, also the various departments that exist in the, or maybe an org chart so that you can see how things, who's who in the district. I would like for her to have a list of all the schools as well, and whatever information that we can come up with so that she can have an idea of what's going on. I would like to take time with her so that she can have a copy of and understand what's going on during the board processes and things like that, introduce her to Board Doc.
What I'm going
whatever.
to do to that point, Ms. Cotman, because I have an email I'm crafting with all the important links for Ms. Walker, because a lot of it is electronic, and I will add the CLRI page to that also, but the Board Docs link, and then we can spend some time walking through that, all of the contact information and the bios of the board members, where she can access the org chart, the school list, and all of the information on that page. Because I think that's important for Ms. Walker, but I think it's also important for Inter-High, and she is the president of Inter-High, and I think our Inter-High students would need that information also. Speaking of that, I just want to let you know that Nicole Bicina is on the line also, Board President Cotman, and she's overseeing Inter-High this year. So we'll share that information with all those students.
Thanks, Nicole. We know we're going to get a lot done this year because you're a mover, groover. Thank you, Nicole. I would also remind Ms. Walker that we and Dr. Brown Hall that we want to put together her information on the website as well. Okay, and she shared some of the things that she's doing. So when we open up that page, we'll also see her bio information as well.
Absolutely.
Young lady, board member, do you have anything else to say to us today? I shared with her earlier that we understand that she may not be able to stay for the entire meeting, and we understand when she chooses to step out. But I think she's a little curious about what we're going to be doing today. So is it possible, Mr. Brown Hall, that you can send her, I don't know what we can provide for her for the rest of this meeting, because she does not have a copy of our agenda at this point.
I will send her, I have her email, and I will send her the public link to Board Docs, and she'll be able to follow along that way. How about that?
How about that? Is that okay, young lady?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Ms.
Thank you.
Our board member, I'm very proud to welcome you. Without further ado, we're going to go back to our consent agenda. I need a
Board President.
Oh, Dr. Cash, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. My apologies.
Okay. I would normally say move along, but there are some important items I'd like to bring up tonight to the board and to the community. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So colleagues, first, let me just start with audited financial statements last week. Are there any questions that any of you have from that meeting with our auditors? I did ask them to stay online this evening in case any of you had any questions. I didn't know if you did or would, but I would like to let them go. So if you have any questions, ask it now. Does anyone have any board member? Okay. I do think, again, I want to commend Jeff and his team for an outstanding audit last week. The final document will be presented to you in the next week or two, colleagues. All right, number two, colleagues, there's a number of pieces of work that are going on. I want to give you a reopening update. When I say reopening, it's a transition to reopening with a select population of students to start. And this is based on a number of factors that we take into consideration. Both the science is always first for us, safety for all of our families and our children. We also have been looking at survey results. I'll give you a brief high-level view of what that's saying at this juncture. And then, of course, we look at what Dr. Darren Brown Hall feeds into our cabinet and our cabinet works sessions around what the committee is saying, the committee membership. We also meet on a much more regular basis, Darren. I believe it's either weekly or bi-weekly with our principal advisory committee. And then we also are working with all of the principals as we speak. There's a really fascinating, fabulous professional learning community now that's much, much more synergistic than I've ever seen it. And that's among all of our principals and their teams. There are many, many teachers at each school site that are joining in this work and giving their input about how we should go about this next phase. It's a huge issue, colleagues, but it is one that we are planning for each day and have been for some time. I sent you a letter earlier, a draft of a letter that captured some of the essence of those points of consideration. We would look at our highest need students first. This suggestion comes from looking at models across the country, but also concerns that are shared by our principals and our staff about some of the things that they're seeing when they're working with students day to day. While that's not all of the students that are having difficulty, there are certainly some that are, and they're in tiers. We're tiering them in 3 tiers, and we're thinking about the most in need children, irregardless of their age, and looking at all of the schools. Now that's unusual because that's different. But looking at all the schools and saying, principals, staff, team, if you had 50 to 100 seats to bring back, because I know that can fit on our footprint, what are your 50 to 100, and maybe larger schools have a little bit more, have a few more seats, smaller schools, a few less, but so that we don't exceed 7,000 at once across the district. Who are these students? How are you selecting them? And when will you have a plan ready to ensure that we can begin to consider first starting with interviews of those parents and children, and then having them see a day in the life, and most importantly, asking them whether they want to be in a comeback in person 5 days a week, because that's what I'm proposing. Because to me, if you're high need, you need to be back. And do you want to send your child back? So that's the process that we're in and engaged in right now. And principals will be completing those plans within a week. I'll be looking at them on the big board, school by school by school, with all of my team. And we were hoping to bring, we would like to bring what we find and what our plan is to you as a board on your November 4th work session. And the reason I just wanted Mr. Hurd to be aware that while we don't want to have each session or each committee go an hour, hour and a half, we might need to cede some time a little bit there to combine 1 or 2 of you, if you volunteer. Certainly makes sense for Kathy Evan Brown, maybe even Mr. Petrucci's committees to take a close look, but it'll be up to them as the chair people, so that we could have at least a 2-hour session to hear from me and hear from our staff about our plan for the next phase. Now, parent survey results. There's over almost 3,000 survey results that have come in, colleagues. And again, I'm not surprised, but you need to be aware that between 60 and 65% of our respondents, I'm not sure it's a perfectly scientific, capturing so that we can make inferences to all of the parents, but certainly those that have responded are saying that they do not want to return. They want to stay remote throughout the first semester. 60 to 65% of the survey results that I have. And then in the special needs group, it's between 40 and 55%. And in the ELL group that's responded, although we're still looking to translate a big number of those, it's around 40%. to stay remote. So just so you know, this is not a big crushing, wanting to come back to school in person by a big majority of our parents from what we have. If you're hearing something different, then certainly I want to know. I've seen letters or two, and I've had letters that say that they do want their children to come back, and we respect that. And that's why we're trying to prioritize how we do that and when we do that. But safety is going to be first. I speak every day to my health advisor. I spoke today to Dr. Gomez, and he was saying that unless we have a testing protocol in place for a good number of our students, particularly those that would come back, and staff, that he believes that it would not be wise or prudent, given what's going on in the country, given what's going on in where people go on a daily basis, and then how they start to come in and migrate into schools and so forth. So just giving you some of that. Now, before I go on, if I see a hand, I'll take it so that I can hear your question, but I have some other pieces related to this. But I think I saw Hope's hand. Hope, did you want to comment right now? Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Cash. I would have been willing to wait to the end, but so okay. I find it very interesting, and in no way am I pushing back against statistics and actual survey, information that was garnered through a formal survey. My information is more anecdotal and more, just people who are contacting me via phone call, email, things of that nature, calling me, saying, please, you have to bring the kids back. And as you heard the speakers earlier today talking and saying that they had very similar feedback from parents and from students who are not happy with the virtual learning. And in no way is that criticism of you, Dr. Cash. I know. In my, just in my daily goings on in my life, in my interactions with parents, in my interactions with my constituents, in my interactions with my friends, in my interactions with my colleagues, the overwhelming sentiment is we have to get these kids back in the classroom somehow, some way, and I know that you're not a wizard, you don't have a magic wand, you're not going to cure COVID. And my concern obviously is, as we're sitting here having this conversation, the news cycle today is daunting and scary, as it's saying that cases are rising across the country, more states are reporting more cases, and the news doesn't look great. To have this plan that we want to bring students back, and at any point in time, we're going to be told by the governor or by whoever that even if we have the best laid plans, that we're not going to be able to do it. So, we're in a horrible situation. And I want parents to hear that we appreciate the pain that they're in, and that there is no good solution here. I don't know what to tell people when they call me, because I am so empathetic and I'm so sympathetic to the conundrum that they're in, the conundrum that working parents are in. I know we're trying to triage. I know we're trying to stop the bleeding. I know that Say Yes has done a lot of things, and I think we should definitely bring that up in the context of a public meeting. I don't think a lot of people know about it. I've brought it up in court appearances. I've brought it up to parents. People don't know that Say Yes is doing this, and that they have these locations where they can leave, their students if they have to work. So that's really important that we bring that up. I'm sorry, this is a run-on sentence, but I don't know. Parents, they want something more concrete. They want to know what the plan is. They want to know that we have a plan. And and we talk about this in this, theoretical context, but yet we haven't actually provided people with something of substance. And I don't know that you have it, Dr. Cash. I just wonder if there's more that we can give, more hope that we can give people as far as, what's going to happen next.
Well, thank you for that. Well articulated, and especially thank you for expressing the pain of parents and what you're running into every day. Certainly, I empathize and understand it fully. Did anyone else want to say something at this juncture before I move on?
Lou
Hand is
Petrucci.
up. Misha's hand is up.
Lou Petrucci.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Who is I did?
Ms.
Kathy, is that
Walker.
you or Lou? Go ahead, Lou.
Tamisha. Tamisha.
Tamisha.
Yeah, I will defer to Ms. Walker.
Miss Walker.
Okay, so you spoke about high need areas and them returning back to school. Can an entire class be considered high need, like class of 2021? Currently, seniors are experiencing low grades and things like that. Right now, I'm worried about college application, community hours, senior dues, graduation requirements, grants. I don't know how to apply to those things. And my counselors are reaching out to me, or my teachers are reaching out to me as they should. Currently, we have a low graduation rate, and we have college rates that are low of Buffalo Public School students going to college. Time has already been wasted, and it's really hard to learn how to apply to college or to even fix a college essay online or not face to face. It's a real struggle to be going from grants to application to anything without the guidance you need.
Yeah, that's excellent, Tamisha. Certainly, I've made notes here, and I know that Toya Wilson and David Hills are on the line, and they'll reach out with you and let's form a student group that talks about this, like a focus group, and gives us more feedback on how we can help you. So Toya, you hear me? David, you hear me? Let's reach out and hear and work with Tamisha and her peers on some of the concerns that she's raised. Thank you, Tamisha.
I actually have student group already organized. I took it upon myself before I was even elected for president. Yeah, I took it upon myself to create mini groups. I have 3 different groups.
So proud.
Well,
I have 3 different groups.
That we'll meet with you, even if it's virtual. I want to meet with you. So, let me see, Darren, or to me, or if Darren's not on right now, Toya, reach out. Okay. Darren, reach out to people on the screen. You're next. Schedule a meeting for next week so I can be in it. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Mr. Petrucci's next.
Thank you. I just want to say that, like Ms. J, I've heard many of the same comments from parents, just all about the frustration, about how they feel that their children are regressing, about the difficulties with remote learning, etc.
I can't hear you, Lou.
I understand. You can't hear me?
No,
that was my bad. I'm sorry, that was my bad.
Okay.
Go ahead,
I just wanted to say that I'm hearing from the people in my district many of the things that Ms. J is. I also heard with the same comment that Ms. Walker had brought up earlier also about seniors and guidance counselors, that they're just very concerned because it's such a critical year. I'm just going to add one additional comment. I know that we put a great emphasis on our site-based management teams and staff in our building developing these plans, but will there be a consistency across the board, a base level, saying that these are the basic requirements for all schools when they return back, and then what's going to be different is the amount of students in each building, or is there going to be more flexibility at each site?
It won't be an either or. It'll be flexibility at site, and we'll be putting an overlay of some district standards and requirements across this, because I still have to work out quite a bit of logistics, even around that when it comes to transportation. How will these students get to school and come home and so forth? Because it'll be a whole different deal than what we normally do. So yeah, there's all of that's going to be put into the mix. But colleagues, just keep in mind, and I got some other things to say, but any day that you feel you're ready and you could take a vote to bring such many kids back, I'm ready to do that. It's you make the decision along with me. See, if you feel that your community is telling you we got to go back, even amidst all of what I'm seeing and feeling for our particular community, then you just let's have a discussion about it, and then let's take a vote. Now, what I would recommend is that you first look at a plan, first see the plan, and then, you know, you can go from there. But I have never been one to do against what the board wanted to do. That's why I said each week you can provide feedback to me about what we're doing. We started remote that way, and now as we transition into this next phase, you can send feedback to us daily about what you're thinking and what you're hearing, and from how many folks you're hearing that from. You see, from how many folks. So this is going to be a consensus decision. But what I do know is we're left on our own. We're not going to have any cavalry come help us or save us once we make whatever decision we make. Boston just went in with their plan, and 2 weeks later they've had to close down, and they're going to go the rest of the semester remote again because of the rising number of cases in Boston. And we're not even there yet, but it's coming. A second, third wave is coming here very shortly. We're heading into it. And I wouldn't want to open in the middle of an into resurgence. That just wouldn't be smart. So I'm trying to get the testing piece figured out, and a number of other issues, and then I'll bring a plan, and then we can continue to say, what do you want to do, board members, based on your feedback from your constituents and so forth. We'll put it all together, and we'll make a consensus decision. All right, Board President Cotman, did you see any other hands at this junction?
Yes, sir. I have Mr. Scott, and then I have Terrence Hurd.
Okay.
Mr. Scott?
So just a few insights in regards to the survey. I would assume that that is an accurate representation of where our parents stand, that it's 50-50. And I'll give it, before this meeting, we had a hearing on Tapestry Charter School, and they showed us the numbers, elementary, middle, and high school. And it was interesting to see that 50 to over 50% based on each level were at, those parents chose their children to remain full remote. You know, I don't know how that transcends to us district-wide, but I would say based on the parents that I'm hearing from and from the survey that it's about 50-50. As far as the plan that you just, or the ideas for a plan, Dr. Cash, that you mentioned, I really think it addresses equity at this time, and in prioritizing those students that need the in-person most. I think there's going to be some unhappy parents that want their kids to be back, but I think this is the most equitable way to approach this. And as far as quality of instruction, I think it also is the best. I'm not sold on the hybrid model. I mentioned this in our last work session. And I recently said to my wife that if I had to choose between the hybrid models that I know of right now and a full remote model, I might now choose to have my children stay full remote, because I feel like they would get better instruction, more direct live instruction from their teachers than if they're doing the hybrid model. The last point I just want to make is that I participated in my older son's SBMT meeting yesterday, and it was a very real, thoughtful conversation on reopening. And there was a consensus to begin with self-contained special education students, and 12th grade students were next, and then students that were behind on credits. And I would say it was a consensus based on parents, teachers, administrators, everybody that was participating in that meeting. So I hear Tamisha mentioned, I think she said seniors. So I think that seems to be resonating in some of our buildings as well, that group of students should be prioritized. And I like that we're not just basing it on age necessarily, but based on need.
Awesome.
Thank you for that, because sometimes the science has said the older students can be asymptomatic and yet carry this around much more so. And so maybe you wait until the end to do that. And I just didn't feel that would be right or fair. And then we always have prioritized the seniors. Last year we did. This year we have a special Ruben. That's why I want to meet with Tamisha and tell her what we are doing for seniors. And then if she has other ideas, we'll continue to bring those into play as well. Okay?
Okay, next we have Mr. Hurd.
Yes, I understand that this district has bent over backwards in trying to find innovative ways to support education for all, not just for high school, elementary, for all people, all junior, all races, all creed. I understand our equity clause and how we move forward. But I am upset right now because what I heard future Dr. Tamika Walker say was that something that I'm hearing during the Breaking Barriers meetings. I'm hearing something that through our youth groups meetings is the same thing and is disseminated over and over again. And work with my son, who's also a senior, is that they're not receiving the tools to move forward about filling out college applications and grants. And I'm working with my son personally, of course. And I'm working with some members from Breaking Barrier groups and some other youth groups that we work with throughout the community. And it seems like it's some of the kids go to charter schools. It seems like we're hearing the same thing over and over again, is that college is coming up. They don't know where they're going to go to college, how they're going to approach it. And I really want to concentrate on seeing a pathway for our seniors. If it's safe, first of all, we look at the word safe. If it's safe for our students to return back into the classroom, a few of them. I know you just spoke of having our students of needs reporting back to the classroom in a timely manner. Our seniors are due that respect also. And I think we need to look at a possible way of getting them back into a classroom or getting more attention to their collegiate aspirations. How can we get the applications, how she said, the grants. She talked about senior dues, something we didn't talk about. I don't know how that applies right now, but also how to apply for colleges and other colleges using Say Yes or the Sessler programs. This is something that we really need to concentrate on with our seniors right now, because college are accepting the applications right now. This is the time when college are approving their children. And if I'm hearing another child come and say that they're not prepared, for next year, I feel like I'm not doing my job. And I'm trying hard, with this. And so we need to give more attention. Somehow, maybe have a meeting to focus on this, so we can make sure that every one of our seniors has their opportunity, to apply for college. Make sure that we got their college preparation in. If it's the SATs or PSATs, the scores they need to take, we need to make sure those things are in order. The dates are in order. If it's going to be done in a building or online, we need to find those avenues. Actually, reach out to colleges for them, writing letters like we normally do for our seniors if they want to attend a college, and have the teachers write letters. Anything that we need to do to prepare for this, working with the guidance and the principals, we need to attack this aggressively.
Absolutely. We have the partners to do it, Terrence. I agree with you in all of that. So we will. That's what Say Yes helps us do every year. That's their work. Help us with applications and all that. Counselors. So I've been told that we're working on this, but if we're not doing it right, we'll get together and we'll have a meeting about it and we'll get it right. I promise you.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, any other board members? I think everyone's been addressed.
If I could be included, I would like to know the future. I apologize. Just the future way it's going. I'll just be included in probably notes sent about how we're moving forward, because there is a large number of kids that I'm working with that I am taking the time and I'm paying out of pocket, for their college applications, because families don't have money. It's just some of the things that we really need to look into and address immediately.
Absolutely. That's first. At first, I heard it, Terrence. I'll do it. I look into anything. I look into anything that I hear about. Anything that I hear about, I look into it.
I said this many times in the past.
Okay. And let me let Toya speak. Toya, could you address some of this, please?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. As you know, I work very closely with the high schools along with my partner David Hills, and we continue this work. We continue this work with our counselors. We continue to track our students, particularly at the senior class, to make sure that we're giving them the supports that they need. If they need extra supports, how are we doing that? We continue to do those very, very close-knit and student-focused cohort reports and cohort tracking meetings with our schools. We are engaged in that work right now. we're constantly looking at how we support students. Then we're looking at also how we accelerate students, provide opportunities for advanced placement so that they are presenting a transcript that is desirable to colleges. And then the counselors come into play because counselors are heavily involved in this work that we're doing to support our students day in and day out. And they're working very closely with the students to make sure that they get what they need. Each school has a different setup for how they are embedding that into the school day. For example, you may see it embedded into an advisory program in which the counselors work very closely with the advisors, who work very closely with the English teachers and any teacher who would support the elements of completing the college application process. And that work is actually the work that should be the students are engaged in right now, because the college application process is right at our doorstep. And so we will continue this work, and we'll look at, are there any gaps that we need to continue to address to make sure that we're reaching every single student and making sure that every student has access to the college application process, writing, and so on.
Good evening. This is Tanja Williams also, and I do oversee the counselors. And, you know, the exploration process for College Ahead doesn't start in senior year. It really starts in ninth grade, and counselors have been working hard to make sure that students have attended college fairs and are aware of different opportunities. But the application process, I think I heard Tamisha mention that the counselors at her school have, in fact, been reaching out to her, and I would dare to say that that's happening at all of our schools. But there is an application process, and counselors work hard to make sure that applications are completed in a timely fashion and that all of the requirements are adhered to. They can support students with identifying recommendation letters that they may need to support their applications. The scholarship process really kind of begins like, you know, in January. That's when we start getting hit, you know, learning about different scholarship opportunities. But the counselors are working currently very hard with their seniors. I know that they prioritize them and that they are working hard to make sure that, you know, all of our students have the information that they need to be prepared to apply for college.
Dr. Cash, you gave us your stats on each of these surveys, and what your own survey clearly tells you, anywhere from percent of our 33,000 students to 60% say they want to come back to school. So you've got your survey, it's consistent with what we're hearing. And I just feel that you just need to make your plan on who you're going to address first, because there's a lot of pain out there. And the children who are neediest and are falling through the cracks, the parents who are crying the loudest to me, are the special eds. They're lost. I mean, I've got 12th graders getting ready to drop out of school, and parents just desperate to help them. And then I hear, and I agree, that the seniors are critical. This is it for them. So, I mean, those two definitely. And then I'm getting a lot of English language learners saying they just can't make it because the challenge is too great. So you have your mandate. We do need to bring the children back. You said 7,000 to start, but with a 40% to a 60% figure, I think you're looking at double that. And we need to do something to stop the pain. We really do. That's all I wanted to say to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Are there any other board?
Ann
Rivera?
So I'd like to encourage us to think in a couple different ways about this. And so one of the things is we serve a really large community with a wide variety of needs. And I think most of the comments from the board members and from Ms. Walker have shown us that tonight. I like the idea of a tiered system because it's a way in which that we can address a variety of needs. But the other piece that I really want to emphasize is that we need to ask who needs to go back, but we also need to ask who can we serve better via remote learning and in what ways? Because one of the things that Ms. J was pointing out is that working parents are in a double bind, right? So they have to oversee student learning and they also have to work. And we're starting to mobilize supports for that. That's one piece. The other piece are the students who are having trouble focusing in a remote setting. Dr. Mistretta mentioned that in her comments today with her own family. In different situations, I think thinking about our assets and our needs as we go forward, as well as the safety needs of our community, all of those things need to come into the mix as we decide who goes back and perhaps who needs more mobilized support in different ways. There's a huge learning curve to teaching remotely. This is not me criticizing teachers in any way. Teaching, I do it myself in my own classrooms, and I oversee other faculty who are learning to do it right now. Teaching remotely is difficult, and we're still learning how to do it well, even just as a society. And the question that comes to mind when we talk about the different needs and when we have a 60-40 split is that about who wants to come back and who doesn't, is that one of the concerns could be among communities that if they are continuing to go remote, then there won't be necessarily enhanced supports in place for them and for their students to address their various needs. And I think looking at all of that, as you say, Dr. Cash, putting it all on the big board is a really important thing.
And we will. Thank you for that.
Appreciate it. You're welcome.
Jan, did I see your hand up?
Yes, sir, you did. I also, not piggybacking and not repeating anything anyone said, I really feel like this is starting to become, even in this conversation, an issue versus an issue, a group of individuals versus another group of individuals, who wants to stay home versus who doesn't. And that shouldn't be how we look at this. And I don't use the word should often, but I'm gonna at this point, because we are responsible as a collective, whether the district or the board, to create communication avenues to every single person who's out there listening now. And surveys are one way to do it. I'm looking for a way that the board comes together in order to maybe put out a message from the board directly. Why aren't we on talk shows? Why aren't we relaying this information that comes to us in our emails to the public in general? We do it, I don't know how Larry sleeps because he's a social media guru. But, I want to be able to communicate with the board and bring out a collective message of how the district is trying to attack this on all levels, right? Obviously, everybody's individual situations and circumstances are going to have them feel that it's them against the system. And that's not how we're approaching this. So I just want to bring to the light once again that the entire world cannot handle COVID. So there is absolutely no way Dr. Kreiner Cash and the Buffalo Public School System can tackle this issue. And when we talk about, as Ann, which you had referred to, I'm sorry, Dr. Rivera, which you had referred to, let's look at how remote learning helps some folks and how we can expand who the remote learning helps, how it's not helping other people. But what I would like to see is better communication for us to be able to communicate as individuals and as a group, as a board. President Kottman, if we can figure out a way to come together as a board, whether remotely, whether we do our own public thing over Zoom, just something where we can constantly engage and help to support Dr. Rivera and Kathy Evans Brown and Dr. Brown Hall, who are sitting on these reopening committees, because I'm almost feeling like they're being attacked. These reopening committees are happening in a frequency that hasn't been happening across the state alone, even in this region. But because it's not, certain areas are not being addressed with the fervor that people individually feel they need to be, it's now becoming an attack. So if we don't start really putting out there that we need to be working together, especially in this city, and with all of our challenges and everything, and we don't come together on how we do it and communicate that that's exactly where you're coming from, Dr. Cash, that's what the board is looking for, then we're going to keep spinning our wheels, right? So I just wanted to point out in this conversation, we've done a lot of, seniors versus students with disabilities and high needs, younger folks versus, athletics and all of these things. It is not a versus. And I'm just frustrated because I just want to wrap my head around the whole picture and be able to provide the hope that Hope, who is talking about, and do this in a way that we can collaboratively come together. So I'm just asking that we take all of our passions. I myself, I have a student with an IEP. I'd like to know, just personally, since everybody's putting this out there, what is the statistics for the students that are taking physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy? Are they doing well and thriving in the virtual world? I know my son is, but I have supports beyond belief for my son that some people may not have. So there's so many different areas we need to concentrate on. We just need to, it's the bargain to me. It's the way you structured the bargain. It's the way you structured teams that work on individual things. We need help from the community and the public to help us figure it out and not to point fingers. Enough with the pointing fingers. If you don't have solutions, I want to talk to people, and anytime anybody comes to me with an issue, tell me how you would solve this. Because if not, you're putting another issue on my head, and I'm surely not going to bring it to the district because it's the same issue they're wrestling with. That's all I got to say.
Thank you for that, Jen.
All board members have had their say. I simply would like to say that what I would like to see, particularly from DPCC and Jessica and Jessica Bowers, healthcare workers, is for them to start being similar to what you're saying, Jennifer, to be available or receptive to working together and not playing Monday morning quarterback. Okay, it's easy for anyone to find fault. It's very difficult to find solutions. And so what I'm asking those two parent groups to do is to come up with some ideas versus finding fault. For as many people who want their children back, there are parents who don't want their children back. And MVP recently did a parent drive. They did about 100+ new parents to their organization, to MVP. And they took a poll on the parents. And there were parents who wanted their children to go back. There were parents who did not. Okay. And it was consistent. So what I'm saying is that if your soapbox consists of finding fault in a time when you should be able to come up with solutions, then shame on you for not coming up with solutions to help us with this. Stop pointing the finger, get in the game, okay? This is not child's play. We have a lot of work to do, and your soapbox consists of finding fault 24/7. Stop it. We cannot grow as a district. We cannot grow our parent organization with that type of animosity that exists. It's tired. People are making decisions together now. They are not doing it separately, and they're not pushing against the grain. They're pushing with the grain. We have over 220,000 people who are dead, and those are the only ones that those stats don't even represent the people who died from things related to that illness. Okay, so it's time out for finding fault. It's time out for moving forward and making things happening in a collective way. And if you can't do that, then why are you playing the game at all? If you can't make a difference, why are you playing the game? And yes, I'm calling them out because I'm sick and tired of the finger pointing. Since the time I've been sitting on this board, it has been consistent with finding fault, finding fault, finding fault. No, we're not perfect, but we are working damn hard to make a difference in the lives of these children. And no one is juggling 30,000+ children in this equation but Buffalo Public Schools. So either you're a team player or you're not. That's what time it is. And I'll be happy to have that discussion on an individual basis with each and every one of them. No problem with that. Okay, with that said, Dr. Cash, you had some other things you want to share. Oh, I'm sorry.
Kathy Evans.
No, Dr. Kathy Evans Brown, I'm sorry.
Thank you for that, President Cotman. You know, I just want to add, you know, my 2 cents, because Dr. Brown Hall has been doing a phenomenal job with this reopening for this district. Dr. Revere and I have sat in on many of those meetings, and it's a very diverse group of people. You have us as board members, you have teachers, you have administrators, you have parents, you have the 2 parents that spoke tonight on this reopening committee. So it's really a diverse group. And I find that they're very vocal in the group. People have suggestions, they put their suggestions out there, you know, et cetera. But more importantly, I agree with Dr. Cash. If we're going to reopen 50-50 equation, we need to do it 5 days a week. One article on the hybrid model, and it came out of Johns Hopkins. And I can't remember the name of it. I just kind of gleaned over it. But what it talked about was that hybrid is one of the worst models to use opening plan. And the reason for that, because if you think about it, kids are in school 2 days a week, let's say. Then they're going back out into the community, you know, among other people, in fact, getting infected potentially, and then going back. So it's not really a great model. Then we need to look at, and most of you said this, base it on need. I agree, special ed students, some of the K through 2nd graders need to be, in special ed, I didn't say that, need to be considered first in this equation. Dr. Cash said, which I like, put the principals, teachers, the administrators who know these young people, who know these kids. They know what the needs are greater than we do, because they're in their buildings, right? And then lastly, I think we need to really look at the science. The science is important. And then there's also all these other logistics, because it's easy, like I think Sharon mentioned it, President Cotman, it's easier to criticize versus coming to the plate with some good information to help this district. So with all of that said, I think that, yeah, we need to, we have a plan. I think what it's going to do is increase that 7,000 that you talked about, Dr. Cash, to a little more than 7,000, particularly if you're talking 65-40.
Thank you. Colleagues, if there are no other hands raised at this time, I'd just like to make a few more quick points, because I appreciate all of your comments, and I've made notes about all of them, and believe me, they will be integrated into our work. Now, code of conduct, I had promised earlier that it would be ready about this time or November, and Tanja Williams has done some really great work, she and her team, and it is ready for my review and for cabinet review. She's got it for Monday. We're going to be doing that, and then we want to bring it to you. We'll not even bring it to you. I'm going to let you have it shortly after I review it for 3 or 4 weeks, and then you can take November to make your decision to approve it. You can certainly look at it again at the work sessions on November 4th. And by the November board meeting, I would recommend that you approve, particularly focusing on the addendum work. So we'll mail or email out to you the addendum work that I think has been very thoughtful. Look forward to your further input to that. It's not that long, and then we'll continue to improve it, So I think talking to Tanja today, within a week of Monday, or sooner, we'll have it emailed out to you, and you'll have all that time between now and November to review it. Okay. One thing that we sometimes miss in this Get Back to School, there's a really, really important step, colleagues, in the science in my humble judgment, and that is the testing. I don't feel comfortable with a federal policy right now of herd immunity, despite what you may think that that's crazy, but that is the federal policy right now. It is the policy, and that's what they're acting on. And so we're not getting the support as a result of that for further testing. The testing is actually decreasing, and we're certainly not getting any stimulus money or any funding for all of these pandemic schooling unanticipated costs. It's extraordinarily expensive to do some of the things that we need to do in order to make sure we can bring our staff and our students back safely. So I was having a talk with David Rust. We want to try to get a mobile health unit activated soon, up to 2 mobile health units. And Dr. Gomez and our medical director, Dr. Quo, have volunteered to help with this testing, doing it for, you know, they will administer it if we can get these mobile units generated to go throughout our community a week before we start bringing back these kids. Because I don't feel that I can safely say to you that we're good to go if we don't have some kind of data to say, you know, only these many have tested positively 3 days, 4 days before starting this new group. Because keep in mind, Dr. Kathy Evans Brown, yes, it may be a 75 or 100 students, but it'll be all of the workforce. See, we want all of the workforce to come back, to be in there for support for the kids that do come back first. So all of our food service workers, all of our teacher and assistants, all of our teachers. So that then increases the number that's on that school footprint. See, so we do have to consider that in making the decision too about what we can do safely with the 6 foot apart, everybody having a mask, everybody washing their hands and all of that. Because now you're down to 8 to 10 kids in a class, and that's much different than 20 to 30. And then on these buses even have fewer kids. 70 student bus can only now take 6 to 8 students safely when you talk about the distancing and all of those things. Maybe a little more on the 75 students. So colleagues, this has to all go into the big mix. And certainly if you give me a mandate after seeing this plan that you want X number of students back, you know, even if we're in the middle of a raging situation, you let me know, and we will certainly abide by it. But I will hold out to you on the demographics and the data, because even in our communities, it's underestimated. Dr. Gomez told me that when you look at Erie County, when you look at Buffalo, yes, that's the metric right now, 2.4% infected, but it's probably undercounted when it comes to some of our zip codes that make up our student populations. So we just have to look at that. I don't want to lose a kid. I don't want a kid to be sick, as Ms. Cottman said, long-term from some of these underlying things that affect our communities disproportionately. And they're never right again. They're never right again. And it could be a grandmother, it could be an aunt, and so forth. So I'm sorry for being weighing on the side of safety, but I also will do everything we can to help these kids while we are in a remote situation, make sure these teachers and the staff are responsive and all of those things while we begin to plan for bringing kids back. But let's try to be together. That's the most encouraging thing I've heard all of you say, or many of you say. Whatever we do, let's try to reach consensus, and then let's try to stand by it as a unified board and staff, and that will serve the interests of our community the best. So at this time, while there were some other things I could say, President Common, I think I'll hold that, and we'll continue planning and get ready to give you that full plan update in early November, day after the election, after all of you go vote. So thank you.
Thank you. And with that commercial, we would also like for our parents and our constituents to fill out the census forms, right, Lou?
It's
Too late.
It's completed? I missed it? Oh, I thought we had another day.
No, it's done. Sorry, Sharon.
What did we do? Do you know what percentage?
I think we're at 56%.
56%. Okay, we're gonna be missing a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think that's better than the previous year, though. Sorry about that. I haven't been in tune to that. Okay, so next, I need a motion to accept the previous minutes from meetings from September the 16th as well as September the 23rd.
So moved.
So moved. Second. Okay, Larry and Lou. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any opposed? No. Okay, thank you. All right. The committee reports. Does anyone have a committee report to report out today? Raise your hand so I can see you. I'm not going to call everyone around. Okay. I see Dr. Kathy Evans Brown, then Mr. Terrence Hurd. I would ask each of you to limit your committee reports to 5 minutes, please. Okay. Thank you.
That's more than enough time for me. Okay, so the student achievement report from our meeting, our BOE work session held on Wednesday, October 7th, 2020. It was very robust. It was detailed, lengthy. It went, I'm not even going to tell you how much time, but it was lengthy. It was a presentation and discussion. So under Dr. Cash's leadership, he started out presenting the 2021 school year update on remote learning and recommended next steps. And we've kind of like talked about some of that now. You have to excuse me, my grandson is visiting, so you'll hear him in the background. But Dr. Cash provided a snapshot of COVID facts today. Sharon mentioned earlier that 221,000 deaths from COVID since it started. We're seeing about 200,000 contracts per day. So it hasn't changed because more than half of the states are reporting upticks in COVID virus. And often, I know that, we all want this thing to go away, but we have to remind people that this virus is alive and well, in the city and across this country. So there is inadequate testing and tracing. You can't, we're not a district that are in a position to test everybody. As a matter of fact, the health department say that they're not in the position to do it either. They're only testing people who show signs of the virus, and that's it. They're only testing people who showing signs of the virus. There's inadequate testing and tracing. So the Department of Health cannot accommodate universal testing. And I know I've heard parent groups talk about testing, random testing, et cetera, but it's not happening in this district or any other district. So let's see, so in order to be, well, the health department isn't consistent in this whole pandemic is evolving. Somebody mentioned that we're going to have a second wave. I think we're going to be in a third wave soon because we're seeing the upticks. So Dr. Cash noted that in order to have great schools, they include 3 variables: great leadership, great teaching, and great community support. I'm going to go back to great teaching because remote learning, remote teaching is very difficult. It's more difficult than in the class. Today, for example, a California teacher was doing a remote learning session, and she always waits for all her students to sign off. And the last students was a sibling group. I don't know if you heard this, but they had a break-in, and during the remote learning, someone broke into these kids' house And, you know, the teacher called 911, they caught the pervert. But it was just so ironic. The man was in their house and ran through it, and thank God they were not hurt. Okay, so let me move on. So during this pandemic in the remote learning model, we see ways to strengthen these variables to emerge, transform public education. And as you know, public education will never be the same. And then we had Ann Botticello, Dr. Tanya Williams, Dr. Cassandra Wright, Dr. Fatima Moore, Myra Burton, our IT Chief of Operations. They all provided presentations about their work. And so it was very robust, et cetera. And I'm not going to go into detail, but it was a very thought out presentation with slides, a lot of learning going on. Some of my constituents talk about how remote is working for them. And then you have others that talk about wanting kids in school. So it's a lot to think about. It's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be inevitable, and this is me talking, that COVID is going to get into these schools. So that is my presentation.
I really hope it doesn't get in our schools. Thank you, Dr. Kathy Evans Brown. Mr. Terrence Hurd, you're up next.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, first of all, I would like to talk about the Wednesday, October 14th presentation for educational support. During this educational support committee meeting, we talked about strong community schools and programming during the COVID. We felt that this is very important because Buffalo is one of the few districts throughout the country that has community schools, and we have a very robust system here, and we have a very high number of pupils that visit our community schools and Saturday academies. On October 14th, this presentation was brought to us by Tanya Staples, the Senior Director of Community Schools for Say Yes to Education Buffalo, and also Alyssa Mufelso. She's the Director, Strategic Alignment and Innovation at the Buffalo Public Schools. They talked about a robust public school community school program, which is, I believe, has to be one of the top of the nations. We talked about that. I've never seen anything like this before growing up, and I wish that, you know, they had these type of programs coming up, because I know it's going to have a great effect on our children and our population, with our kids and other community outlets and programs working together to edify our kids and our community. A couple of the things that we talked about was the summer pop-ups. We talked about virtual policies and procedures. We talked about virtual program, and because of the COVID, we were in the building previously at our community school sites, which was 28 throughout the city of Buffalo. Then suddenly with COVID hit, you know, it was a shutdown. But we were happy to see that October 3rd, you know, the cabinet reopened and they addressed the COVID concerns. And with that, I would just like to be one of the biggest supporters for it, because our kids during the COVID times, I feel like they're very oppressed. They're in the house, they're in the homes, they're frightened, they're scared. And this is one of the opportunities to have a let out for them to reach out to other people, other community members, and also our parents. And our parents, you know, we also talked about that our parents, since this remote learning has been established in the city of Buffalo, and how we adapted to it, and how it's become better and better, you know, for parents to understand and kids to work, that parents have been reaching out for education too. So they've been a huge part of this virtual process. And we thank the parents for, you know, being patient and learning along with their children and reaching out to the staff. Also, our community schools have now adapted, you know, to COVID. And we talked about our parent center offerings. We talked about our strong academic and innovative technologies that we using using the virtual method, everything being online, but finding new ways to adapt to it, so it's better learning. We talk about higher education. We work with our business partners. We also talk about the mental health clinics, and also preparing for our legal clinics. Now, if you want to participate in this, you have to go to our website. It's on facebook.com, BPS Community Schools. And some of the things, that that we're talking about is supporting families through connected learning, building substantial student cohorts, virtual Saturday Academy with the parent centers and adult education. And the adult education addresses like our parents' concerns. So it's something that the parents, the children all can work on together. And it also talks about the well-being. And let's not forget our food drives. This also, they give out food at these centers so that we can continue on, so we make sure all families are, health and wellness is addressed also. We talked about in April, this was one of our peaks that we had 8,000 visitors for the month of April. And then when the COVID hit in May, it went down to, because we was only open for the first week, it went down to 3,700 people. And then in June, it was 0. But one of our peak months was December of last year, and that was over 8,660 people that came to our community schools. So those were people that were left out when COVID came. So now they have opportunity to participate once again within our community projects. Some of the activities that they had was the virtual field trips. They talked about homeschooling and techniques and tips. The parent portal was reestablished. They had health and wellness with like sickle cell groups, Go Bike, and there was indoor biking, entrepreneurship, and teen series. So there's so many different things, and not limited to anything, because they also have anything from cooking classes to introduction to foreign languages. So I mean, it's a very robust program that this district has put on here. And one of the big things that we see is the adult education and job seeker suits. The virtual college tour, something we talked about today, but they have one right here in our Saturday academies. And then one of the biggest things that, that we used over with the Breaking Barriers program was the Fitness Friday. So they have Fitness Friday where the kids can work out and still get, Zoom, working out with Zoom. So please take a look at it. The next session is going to be on, they have a November 7th where they're going to talk about UB Science Exploration Day. And not last but not least, I know Dr. Cash will probably want to speak about this, is our virtual learning hubs. This is something new that Minister Mary Donaldson sat down and wrote from ECC. He worked with Mark Polenkars and also with David Rush from Say Yes and the Bubble Public Schools about putting this program together. And I'm glad to be with him when he first started to write this, because it's a wonderful program, and it started October 5th through December 20th from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, where we got virtual learning sites set up throughout the city of Buffalo. So I don't know if Dr. Cash want to reflect a little bit more on that, about our virtual learning hubs.
Very quickly, thank you for that, Terrence. That's an excellent point. And I remember when Hope and others were talking about this some time ago, and then we put it into place. So Say Yes has over 40 sites across the city. I think many of them are faith-based sites and other. There's 1,121 students enrolled in those sites. This is mainly for 5 to 12-year-olds. And there's room for 1,400 more students to come and be in those sites. So let's get the word out, Eleanor and board members, for constituents who are struggling at home. They can go to these sites, these virtual hub learning sites each day, and get online with their teachers from these hubs. So I think it's an exciting experiment, and I want to thank Say Yes and Erie County government for their assistance in this innovation for our kids.
Okay. Well, that concludes. You can actually reach it by going to the Buffalo Public School webpage for parents that want to reach out to the virtual learning hubs. It's a great opportunity for your children to get extra attention that they need and take some of the stress off the parents and the caregivers. So that concludes my report for the educational support. And I'd just like to thank the district and say yes, and Tanya Staples once again for doing a wonderful job, for putting this program together and helping out with our district and our kids.
Thank you, Board Member Hurd. Next, we have up Vice President Lou Petrucci with our Executive Affairs, followed by Paulette Woods with Finance and Operations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At our Executive Affairs meeting this month, we had a presentation from Jamie Warren regarding the practices with respect to the district and the results of our hiring, who we hire by division, by department, and what that looks like. Basically, Ms. Warren's presentation showed that we still have a lot of challenges to go forward, going forward to make sure that our workforce looks like the city of Buffalo. While we do have some areas where we have where the workforce is represented or does look like the population, many areas, particularly with teachers, do not reflect the population of the Buffalo Public Schools. So I know that is one thing that Dr. Cash and his staff and Ms. Warren made a nice presentation about the various recruitment efforts that have been going on to try and increase our teachers of color throughout the district. But that still presents a challenge not only for Buffalo, but other districts within the state and the nation as well. Going forward, though, because this was such a robust presentation, we were unable to address our NWBE hiring practices, and that will be for a future Executive Affairs Committee meeting. Thank you very much.
Wow, go ahead, Mr. Petrucci. Next, we have Board Member Paulette Woods with, do you have anything to report for Finance and Ops?
Well, briefly summarizing, we had the Finance and Ops Committee report. The auditors gave us the results of last year. You have to know what you ended the year with, which was good news. We came up with a $43 million surplus rather than a $30 million. So we didn't do a lot of things in last year. So we saved money. We saved more than we thought. That was good news. But then we got our report on this current year from our CFO. And that's the bad news, that we do have the state government withholding significant portions of our revenue. We do have a dilemma that we need federal aid to bail out New York State and the city of Buffalo, or we're going to have some difficult, disastrous choices to make. So we're hoping that will change. And then we had a presentation on our grants, and we're going to follow up on that to see if there's any opportunities for efficiencies and more services to our young people and our students using grants. So short, sweet, there you have it in a nutshell. Coming up, we will be going over Title I, Title II. And again, like Lou said, there needs to be a report on MBE, WBE progress so that everyone who pays taxes shares in the benefits.
Thank you, Board Member Woods. Okay, are there any other things that any other board members would like to share at this point? Okay, thank you. So moving forward, I need a motion to accept the consent agenda. Okay, Paulette, Lou and Paulette, thank you, and Larry also. Thank you. I do not have any questions that were presented or any comments that need to be made during for the consent agenda. Does anyone have any concerns that they would like to address, or is or are all minds settled?
Ms. Cotman, there were none sent in to Lisa or myself, and the questions that were presented were answered and sent back to the board members this afternoon.
Okay, thank you. So if that's good, can we move forward with our vote, Mr. Nate Kuzma?
Yes, on the consent agenda, how do you vote, Dr. Kathy Evans Brown?
Yes, no contest.
No exceptions from Dr. Kathy Evans Brown. Mr. Hurd.
No exceptions.
Ms. J.
No exceptions.
Ms. McCosy.
No exceptions.
Mr. Petrucci.
No exceptions.
Dr. Rivera.
No exceptions.
Mr. Scott.
No exceptions.
Ms. Woods.
No exceptions, but we've got to do a lot better on the MBE, WBEs.
Voted for the record, no exceptions. President Belden Cottman.
No exceptions.
Consent agenda passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, so board members, we have two additional things that we need to do tonight. We do need to go into executive session, but first we would like to honor our bereaved members of our family, the BPS family. Mr. Lou Petrucci, would you handle that order for me, please?
Thank you very much, President Cotton. May I ask everyone to rise while I read our bereavements for October 21st, 2020. Thank you. On August 24th, John N. Magavro, former teacher of special education for 34 years in the Buffalo Public Schools, retired in 1998, father of Glenn R. Magavro, a teacher at Olmsted number 156, and Albertina Magavro, a teacher at Olmsted number 64. Brother of the late Nicholas J. Magavro, former director of health and physical education with the BPS, uncle of Michael J. Magavro, principal of the New Buffalo School of Culinary Arts and Hospitality Management School number 355, and Nicholas J. Magavro Jr., former special education coordinator and teacher, and also Len Magavro, a former groundskeeper at All High Stadium. September 18th, Janet E. Domkowski, retired principal of Bennett Park Montessori Center, mother of Richard Domkowski, grants coordinator for the Office of Federal and State Programs, and co-grandmother with Karen Campbell, teacher assistant at Bennett Park. September 18th, Joan Murray, mother of Mary Beth Murray, a media communications teacher at Buffalo Academy for the Visual and Performing Arts. September 20th, Teresa Puglisi, a teacher's assistant for the Buffalo Public Schools and Kenton Schools for many years. September 21st, Patricia M. Retman, mother of Lori Retman, administrative secretary in the Office of School Leadership, and Patricia Harrington, assistant director of student placement and registration. Also, mother-in-law of Sharon Retman, school clerk at 48 and MLK. Ms. Retman was also secretary for my department for many years. September 25th, Donald C. Beck, retired principal of BPS School Number 8 for 25 years. September 27th, Elizabeth Ann Morse, former principal of BPS number 94. September 28th, David Ryder, former CTE director. September 29th, Janice L. Fisher, née Earl, wife of retired principal Elsie Fisher, sister of teacher Jennifer Earl Strickland. October 1st, Kathleen Kalwicki, a retired school clerk at schools 61 and 60. She also helped coordinate the Jesse Ketchum Awards. After she retired, she volunteered at the Hope Center in Buffalo. October 4th, Ethel M. Del Monte, grandmother of Samantha Nasca, assistant principal at Hillary Park Elementary School number 27. October 11th, Thomas Brinkworth, father of former BPS Chief of Police and Security, Kevin Brinkworth. October 16th, Don Ort, father-in-law of Kathy Ort, retired assistant principal of Lorraine Academy, and uncle of Paula Grady, who was our temporary supervisor of pupil personnel services. October 19th, Rashawn Nicole King, daughter of Assembly Speaker and great friend to the district, Crystal D. Peoples-Stokes. May we have a moment in memory of all of their passings. Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Petrucci. May their souls rest in peace. Okay, so board members, we need to go into executive session. May I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss potential litigation related to the approval of Buffalo Commons Charter School, to discuss the negotiations of a contract with Spectrum, and for the purpose of obtaining legal advice regarding a contract that has been previously approved by this board. Paulette, second. Jen, we get them to do, they're coming through. All in favor?
Aye.
Any exceptions? Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll, how about if we take a, 5-minute break so that Mike Lucci can clear the phones?
That sounds great.
Ladies and gentlemen, the board went into executive session and no action was taken. Is there any other unfinished business at this point? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn? Okay, and second. All right, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Drive carefully.
Good, everybody.
Be safe. Wash your hands.
Everyone, got to do better.